And this is a bound as well, down back to 1. Oh, best voice line in the game. Oh, come! I used this move just to hear him say that. What's up guys, MainManSWE here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always, and now I'm gonna give my initial thoughts of Clive Rosfield. I'm doing it only 2 hours in because I feel like, oh, these are very interesting first impressions. It's not going to matter if I give you my opinion 7 hours from now. I'm not going to learn that much more new stuff. Instead, I'm gonna wait until give it a few days, and I think we'll be able to see where his tier positioning is. If you want to hear something immediately, it's that he seems very, very balanced. So they still have a good track record, I think, with Eddie, Lydia. Can't stand those characters, but they're very balanced. They're among the weakest in the game. Heihachi, in my opinion, is the greatest character they've ever made. I think he's a masterpiece. And he's very mid-tier and a demanding character. And I think Clive Rosfield, when it's all said and done, is going to be like mid, but we'll see. We're gonna give it a few days. It's still very, very early. And those of you who thought he's gonna be Noctis 2.0, not really. He has some of these Katarina Noctis things where you mash basically one button and things happen on the screen, right? A lot of stuff happens on the screen if I just mash one button. So in that way, he's similar to Noctis and Katarina in that he's supposed to be very approachable for beginners. And also long reach, obviously. Long fucking reach. And that's also something to make the game easier for beginners. You gotta worry less about spacing, etc. But aside of that, he doesn't feel like Noctis at all to me. But first off, I just want to commend them on the stage. I think the stage is super sick. I really like this part. And apparently I didn't know it, but both of these are like lifted directly from Final Fantasy 16, from what I understand. The castle section. But apparently this section is from somewhere completely different, a different area in the game. But they put them both into the same stage, which I thought was really cool. But so a little bit on how he plays. His best attack so far seems to be Prominence for 1+2. I'm just gonna mention this move immediately because it's kind of a perfect attack. It's a heat engager, and those are typically like, you know, -9. Like safe on block, but you lose your turn. This is basically Brian's Requiem on steroids. If you don't know Brian's Requiem, it's that 10-meter elbow, so unparryable, and it's got like infinite reach. But Prominence basically does what Brian's Requiem does, but faster and like no execution. Brian has to do a core circle forward. He has to do a Hadouken, fireball. Not that technical, but it's still something. Here it's just press forward 1+2 and immediately you're doing this long range Prominence. That is also basically homing. This move is basically homing. I haven't seen it stepped yet. I don't know if you can do it. I tried stepping it, I couldn't do it. So this is immediately, I think, his best attack. Also, it's a launcher here. It also launches when you heat dash out of it. And also super nice, like here at the wall. You'll just use it like this and it's a wall splat. Safe. And if you want to, you can heat dash out of it for that juicy +5 as you do with heat dashes. I also like down 1+2 is -6 on block. But this is also an insane space control mid in that it's basically homing. Can't step it. Also hits grounded. It's steel pedals. Which is nice after his 1-2. He has a 10-frame knockdown. So here, if they stay on the ground, can steel pedal with down 1+2. Down 1+2 is also a countered launcher. It's a really good button, and it has more reach than the animation suggests, in my opinion. It hits very far away. You'll see here, like that's a big hitbox. Big hitbox, to say the least. Sidestep 1+2 is very linear, but it's a natural hit launcher that also hits grounded. So it's like big wind-ups. That's going to be the thing with this character. It's like big Tekken, yay! A little bit like Heihachi, although Heihachi is more steppable than Clive is. Clive has much better space control than Heihachi. But small Tekken, so with that we mean like poking, quick attacks, like chopping at the opponent, Clive just doesn't do it well at all. And like Heihachi, his lows are giga trash. I think this is his best low, which is down 1, which looks like Jin's Scourge, but you reverse the hand, he does it with his left hand, and it's a very, very balanced Scourge. It has some very nice evasion as he goes down. Long reach. And gives him a +2, which gives him an uninterruptible while standing 4. Note that they can step here though. You gotta remember that. But if they don't step, that's an uninterruptible while standing 4 into Phoenix Shift mix-up, right? So down 1 I think is a standout low. And when you go into full crouch here afterwards, you can do another low, which is full crouch down for 2, which gives you a +3 and some chunky damage. So this, to me, is pretty decent. Just mixing like this. But outside of that, you will struggle to find a good low, in my opinion. A lot of people like down back 4 because it's a +4 and it's unseeable at 19 frames. It doesn't stagger on block, but it's -18, so it's launch punishable. And this is a counter hit launcher. Nice. It insta screws, right? Insta bounce. The problem I found with this attack is that when you see a move of this type, you always assume this is going to evade highs. But I'm getting electricked doing this. It looks like it should have evasion, but this is no Lars down back 4. You can get hit out of that with highs. So this low-ish, like, it's pretty okay, but I wouldn't go spamming this too much, because the evasion is not what you think. In terms of poking, jab is alright. Alright. Then you have a 1-1 that jails. They can't duck that, right? If a first hit connects on block, they can't duck. And here you can go into Phoenix Shift. Just know that all of these shift mix-ups, if you go in from -3 here, this 1-1 on block, they'll be able to interrupt everything. You have a power crush in Phoenix Shift 1, but if they dick jab here, they can hit you. You're still gonna get the attack, but they'll be able to block because it's so slow. Oh, and it's down for 1, and here, unfortunately, also suffers clunky down for 1. A bit like, you know, Heihachi's is 13 frames, but -5 with follow-ups. Clive's is 14 frames and -3 if you don't commit to anything, any of the follow-ups. And it's just not that good. And then you can do down for 1 too, launch punishable, and quite slow. And they can duck that, right? So you're gonna wanna do hold forward to go into Phoenix Shift, and now you're +6. Now you can do some fun mix-ups, but again, this is risky. It is super duckable. You can mix this with down for 1-4, but again, -10. -10. But here you have an interesting mix-up in that, oh, you want to take your punish? You can do this, but this will only knock down, it won't launch, and now you're launch punishable, right? You go into Bahamut, and they can float you out of that. It has to be said, though, that interestingly, down for 1-1 is a natural string for 38 damage, as I thought, watching the trailer. And this has a blue spark if you press for 1. There. Just as the sword connects, the second hit. I fucked it up. There we go. And with this wall combo with Bahamut, he gets huge damage. And again, this is something I'm gonna stress immediately. The combos are so fucking sick on this character. They are the flashiest combos in the game. Just as we thought, you know, watching the trailer. He's just unbelievably flashy character. And super high damage. Down for 2 is this 15 frame, you know, launcher. And from here, just doing this. Again, the combos, and this is also something different from Noctis, is that this guy is not as easy as I thought. If you're gonna do the good combos, it's like, there is some work to it. It's certainly not mashing the 2 button. But when you get the combos, they're super flashy. But look at this damage from a down for 2. 81 damage. Fitting. That's 81 damage. And then you can do another, like, really cool route. Also involving quite a specific dash here. You can do some other stuff with Heat Burst there, but I really like the look of his combos. It's really cool. Other standout attacks are while running 2. Hold forward again for plus 14 on block. Problem with while running 2 is that it has absolutely no tracking and it's insanely slow. To the point where I played a few matches now with viewers and I just stay away from this move. Even on Wake Up, I'm afraid of it getting stepped or rolled or something. But you do get plus 14, but it does so little chip damage. When you compare it to other while running 2 style attacks, but especially going to stance mix-up afterwards, there's very little chip here. And again, it's a very steppable attack. Very steppable attack. The 10 frame punish knocks down, and it does 25 damage, and it gives the Kazuya flash punch slump, where they slide. Devil Jin doesn't have that anymore. He actually doesn't have that anymore. So that's kinda nice. That's a good knockdown. And again, I showed you this, but he also has a back 4 steel pedal, like Mishima style. And this one is safe at -9. Again, steel pedal, right? Well, not quite. It doesn't do the pancake flip. It does the 360 flip. Not exactly, but what it does do is this. Counter hit launch, right? Counter hit launch. And safe. And also quite cool. Normal hit. Bagoosh. Plus 16. At the wall. Fucking wall splat. So that's a good goddamn Oki button, right? His 10 frame does not wall splat. It does not wall splat. But so afterwards here, back 4, not a bad option. Flips them on the ground, right? And if they stand up, you're still safe. If they crouch guard, you get a wall splat. And his wall splats hurt a lot. That's a good button. Back 1+2 is an infinity reach power crush. It's literally full screen. It's almost like a projectile, right? -14 on block. But still, infinity reach power crush. I'm gonna mention now also that his meter bar, you gotta use Odin sword attacks to build up that meter up to 5. Let's see, I'm just gonna set it to 5 so you can see what it looks like. So this is 5 bars. So this is maximum damage, Santetsuken. Does 80 damage. With Rage, I think it does 88 damage. It does a fuck ton. And even in combos... Even in combos, like, it adds a substantial amount. It can really hurt. It's almost like an extra Rage Art. The startup is 22 frames, which is 2 frames slower than a Rage Art. But it's got a lot of reach, right? But do know that on block, you're launch punishable at -15, right? But if your opponent blocks it, you don't lose your stacks. You will keep your stacks until the full Santetsuken connects. And then you lose your stacks and you go back to 1, right? Immediately, I would say that one of your big missions is that you want to build up that bar. So you need to use very specific Odin sword attacks. The main one you're gonna use is 442. You saw I got some bar. And even on block, I get some bar, right? And this is a long range mid. Long range mid. That is safe on block at -7. But it's also a counter hit launcher. So that's actually, outside of building bar, it's a good button. Note that I don't build bar if I do most other attacks. Nothing happens. You need to do specific Odin sword attacks. You'll see this red trail. You see there's a red-black trail here, signifying an Odin sword attack. So 442 is your best friend if you want to use Santetsuken. 2, 1+2, same thing, Odin. This is not a natural. but you can catch your opponent off guard, even a counter hit. This is not a natural. What I like though here is that I'll actually use that as a wall combo. So you can do this into this, and I build up some Zantetsuken meter. Another great way of filling your bar is using his super awesome parry. We can actually, I have Jin here, so we can actually recreate the trailer moment with Jin doing 1, 2, 4, and in between the hits here. Although in the trailer he does the 2 options, that, but you have this guaranteed, which is 1 + 2. You see how much meter I gained. This parry is really strong. And again, he recovers pretty quickly after this parry. It's a strong parry. The startup is fast as well. So yeah, I would say make good use of this parry. So again, back 3, and then 1 + 2 is guaranteed. Another way of gaining is going into limit break heat mode here. You will also build Zantetsuken bar by landing heat smashes. I'm sorry, that's the one that heals him. Sorry, Phoenix Shift. So he has 2 heat smashes, and this is very specific now. If you do the one in neutral state, which is this one, it will heal you. It actually heals you pretty significantly if you have recoverable health. You'll see here I have recoverable health, right? And now I land the neutral one. I gained a lot of health back, right? So this is Heat Smash 1, and it's from the neutral state. It doesn't have that much reach, and it does not wall splat, and it does not give Oki. 55 damage, that's it. But the neat thing about it is that it has a lot of fucking tracking and a lingering hitbox. So again, space control. But you're never gonna do like, you know, wall splat damage with this thing. But it heals you. So that's good. Heat Smash 2 is from Phoenix Shift. You can press forward 4 to do a manual Phoenix Shift if you want to. Otherwise, down for 1, 2 is a good Phoenix Shift transition. While standing 4, he has multiple of these. But if we do that, this Heat Smash, this one will not heal us, but it gives us a ton of Zantetsuken bar, which Heat Smash 1 does not do. And this one will also trigger Floor Blast or Floor Break, etc. Realistically, it takes a long time to build up those bars, but if you're smart about it, you will get a Zantetsuken attempt per match. And if you try it in the neutral, again, it's gigantic damage by its own. Launch punishable on block, but you do not lose your stacks if your opponent blocks it. If you use it in a combo, it's 1,000,000 damage. I think it's more damage than Rage Art. Like, it really, really hurts. So Zantetsuken is cool. When Clive is in heat, he gets a pretty crazy string in down for the 1 and then mashing the 1 button. Reminds me a little bit of Brian's Incinerator. You can't step this. Can't step it. And on block, it's just safe. -8, I think. Yeah, -8. It just ends up at -8. And it's all mids. It's literally all mids. There's no high there to duck. It's just mids. You saw the chip damage, right? It's a lot of chip damage. You can also do free hits into Phoenix Shift mix-ups. Phoenix Shift mix-ups. Oh, I forgot to mention, when you are in heat, he also has a guard break. So 4, 2, 2, 1, charge, hold that, and you get 13 frames. I can do 2, 1 here, which is my 12 frame punish. Can also do that, right? 1 + 2. That's a safe 13 frame heat engager. 1 + 2. Looks like a demon breath. But safe. Oh. 4, 2, 2 charge. So we can get a wall splat here. If we're not an idiot. Let's see. But again, it scales. It does scale. So just like other guard breaks, you'll see a 70%. So it scales, but it has to. Otherwise, it would be too much, I think. So let's talk more about Phoenix Shift 2. Can manual go into it forward 4? Otherwise, down for the 1-2, 1-1, while standing 4. From there, you can threaten a hell sweep. You can do 3-2 to get Torgal out. Note that this is obviously launch punishable. Staggers, I'm -26. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage. It does 30. It will break a breakable wall, but if you hit this in the neutral, 30 damage, no Oki. It's just not that good. But all of these moves from Phoenix Shift have a lot of tracking. It's very hard to step any of this stuff. And you can also do, on the hell sweep, you can do a second variation, which is free 1+2. The Torgal one is free 2. This is free 1+2. This will floor blast, right? And floor break. So that's nice to have that option. You can also do a slide do. That's -1 on hit and -13 on block. Does have a counter property. You get +13 here. So you can do some cool stuff. This is guaranteed. 1-2 there. Or you can link a Phoenix Shift into another Phoenix Shift. While standing 4 is guaranteed, and then you can take another Phoenix Shift mix-up, right? Which is pretty cool. And then you have Phoenix Shift 1, and Phoenix Shift 2. Again, Phoenix Shift 2 builds Zantetsuken. So this will also be used as a combo ender. As a combo ender, you can do back 2, which will tailspin into Phoenix Shift. So back 2 will also go into that. And then you can do the 2 option, which will build Zantetsuken bar. So we can do that while ending combos as well, which is super good to know. Back 2 is also a good button in the neutral. It's a high, but it's +9 on hit, -4 on block. But again, if I go Phoenix Shift, I get a +6. On hit, I get +23. And this is homing. It doesn't have a homing trail, but you can't step it. And you see the reach. So again, he's not lacking in like space control. But yeah, Phoenix Shift 1, Fire and Flame. Nice damage. But it's -14 on block. And the 2 option, which is two hits, is -13 on block. I think there will be some mix-up utility here, and that you'll do the 1 option. Like this. And they'll be like, oh, I expect more hits, but maybe it's the 2 option. I can't take my turn. But it's very easy to distinguish these moves. This is just a big old, you know, fire attack. That's also a power crush, by the way. Phoenix Shift 1 is a power crush. If someone challenges your stance, you're going to want to do the 1 option to power crush out of that. Yeah, okay, so you can do Phoenix Shift 2 to be safe. And then another interesting Phoenix Shift option is 3+4, which is a homing mid knockdown, wall splat, but very slow at 28 frames. But it is a homing mid knockdown. That is good. But at 28 frames, it's a little bit on the slower side. And then you have a couple of interesting strings in 2-2. Which is safe. Not a... No, it is a natural. It's the triple hit that's not a natural. And then he has a Snake Edge. Leviathan Edge. Which is, I think, the worst low in the game. It has some combo utility. Like, for example, here. If I do any form of, like, heat dash that only leads to a knockdown, not a combo, you'll use Leviathan Edge. But Leviathan Edge on its own is literally a Snake Edge. 29 frame startup homing. So insanely reactable, obviously. That does not launch. I think this is arguably the worst low in the game, if I had to pick one. He has a flying stance in Bahamut. You just press 3+4 to do it. Neat thing is that it will do an instant auto low parry. So if I press 3-4 here, this is an automated sequence. And it's very fast on startup. Very fast on startup. And it's obviously a launcher, right? So that's a very powerful low parry. If you know a low is coming, like... And he has a projectile from the stance. The one here. Interestingly, if this is blocked, he will just stay in stance. Like Noctis, if he does his projectile and it hits, he will roll in. He automatically does Phoenix Shift into mix-up. But I thought it was interesting that if it's blocked, he just stays in flying Bahamut. It's pretty interesting. And then from Bahamut, if you press 4, you will Phoenix Shift. And then the 2 is the Kamehameha. 2 button. Has to be airborne for this to transition into throw. Then backflip just like Devilton is the 3 button. That's the launcher. But you see him do automatically in this in the low parry sequence. But yeah, Bahamut also allows you to access, as I showed you before, like his highest damage in combos. That we've seen so far. Like this stuff. So again, this is not wall travel, getting them to the wall, but it's like from a down for 2, like 80 and 81 damage is pretty fucking crazy. And this is a bound as well, down back to 1. Can try. Oh, best voice line in the game. I'll come. I use this move just to hear him say that. So that's a bound, charge up, safe on block if you charge it. If you don't charge it, it's -13. -13. Back 1 is a pretty cool move, to be honest. Back 1, you see it's homing. So 17 frame mid counter hit launcher. 17 frames. -13 on block. So that's pretty cool, but you'd rather use prominence, to be honest, I think. And then this is another homing. Down back 1. This one is more interesting. This one you're going to want to pay attention to. Because it's -8 on block. So that's just like prominence. Homing. Very long reach. But if you mash the 1 button while you're doing it, on block, nothing happens. I'm mashing the 1 button. But if it hits, and I'm mashing, this is an automated follow-up, right? For 42 damage. And wall splat. If this counter hits, it's now a launcher, right? So that's a move you want to pay attention to. Not bad. Those are the tools I want to show in this video. His orbital, well, it's not an orbital. I thought it was an orbital watching the trailer. This forward 3, you see it's -14 on block, 20 frame startup. Will immediately beat lows and look super cool, but this is mostly a whiff punish. Or if you're calling someone out on a low, you'll use that. But that's it. So these are just me initial stuff I want to show you on this character. He's really fun to play. He's super flashy. I'm certainly gonna devote some time to him to learn him, and then I'm gonna see if he becomes one of my mains. They've done such an exceptional job with the character. Yeah, I guess the one thing you want to take with you is that from what it looks right now, this is certainly not going to be a busted character. Pretty fucking far from it. He seems very balanced. He seems very unique. He's not Noctis 2.0. So really good job to them, in my opinion. And yeah, can't wait to see where I'm at with the character in a few days. I'm gonna take him to ranked, you know, see what I can do. But so thanks for listening to me, everyone, and take care.